Good afternoon, everybody. Today's
Hello.
Sunday, June 23rd, and we are on Webinar073, and we are so lucky to have
Hello.
Uncle Pete as a, not an uncle today. He's doing WxDevCon ProCon number 5, ChatterBox, and WebDev. And Andy decided to be around. So
It's Sunday afternoon.
So it's all yours. I'm going to be quiet now.
Hey.
All right. Okay.
Pete, we're ready for you.
All right.
Just
All right. Well, what we're going to do today is look at the web, setting up the foundation of a web project. When you start working on the web, you need to spend a good day, day and a half at the very beginning, getting your style sheets and so forth configured so that you use those moving forward. Otherwise, what happens is if you do like you do on the Windows and just pick fonts and so forth, you get down the road and you want to modify your website and it just becomes a nightmare. So you spend a little more time up front really getting the look and feel of your interface. And your web interface is a little more experimental because we all kind of know how to do a Windows interface these days, but web is still a little loose. We can do a few different things, so you kind of need to just work out your look and feel, and that's what I've been doing for the last couple of days is working out the ChatterBox look and feel. So let's take a look at what I've gotten done so far. What I'm working on is the news group section, and I've got our standard look and feel also. So the first thing I did was created the standard page of our site. This is what ChatterBox is going to look like. And I think we can actually run that template. Yeah, that's just the template page. As you see, it's a responsive design.
You need to share your screen. Pete just got knocked off.
Oh, Pete went fishing?
Pete lost him.
Should we stop the...
Looks like he went fishing.
Should we stop this and start all over again, Pete?
He's gone. There he is. He's back. What happened, Pete?
Hey,
Pete. Did you close the wrong browser?
Hey, Pete, did you want me to stop and start all over again? Or just cut it out? That's all right. Keep going. I can cut that portion out.
Can't hear you, Pete.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Much better. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Did you close the wrong
I didn't
browser?
do anything. It's like Adobe Connect just decided to reset everything on its own.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Only you.
Okay. Yeah. You were watching my mouse on the screen.
Sticking to that story.
Anyway, so that is the general template of our site. So once I had that done, then I started into, okay, what's our news group section?
Is that whole page a template? Is that what you're saying? That whole?
Yes.
So that will show up on every page? Maybe. Okay.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And I'm giving you an overview, and then we're going to go look at the template. But I'm just kind of giving you an overview of what I did.
Okay. Thank you.
So hold your questions till the end of the class. All right. So once I had, he doesn't understand the concept of hold these questions to the end of the class, does he? Yeah. The other pages are based on it.
He was tardy anyway.
Do we have a webcam of him with his dunce cap on? So once I got my template done, then I started working on, okay, what's our news group page going to look like? And, you know, me and Andy may have had a passionate conversation about what this look and feel should be. I think we both lost. But what I then did was base a page on the template that I created and then started adding some controls. And again, I'm not doing any programming here. I'm just mocking up stuff. You know, I've hard-coded the menu items. I've hard-coded what's showing up in the browse, because all I'm trying to do is get the general look and feel of my site worked out so that I can have all the styles and so forth defined up front. So I've worked out a couple of different views here. This view, we're going to call this the Andy view, and that's came back again. That's going to drive me nuts. Okay, so on this view, we have a tree view table, which is the new WebDev 18 control that we just got with 18. We didn't have this before, and we definitely needed it so that we can do a very easy tree view. And then as you click on a message, you see the actual message down at the bottom. So that's one view that I've worked out. And then I worked out the style sheets of how all this would look, and we're going to look at that once we go through this little overview here. So then the next thing I worked out was the Pete view. And I want to see the entire conversation, all the messages in the conversation, so I can just scroll through them. So that's what we're looking at here. And this is a standard looper that's done this version. And then the last version I've just started playing with, I think it works, I haven't played with it a lot, is the combination of the two. And this may wind up being our interface, is when you click on a message, the looper will fill down below with all the messages from that leg of the thread. So that's kind of the interface that we're playing with and looking at. So that's the look of it now. How did I do all this? What did I do? Well, I started. Let me close this project, and we'll actually create a new project and kind of go through a little bit of this. Wow. Some of the stuff I'm still struggling to find. Hello, Lucy. Wow.
Andy, do you have any comments about this so far?
I have a comment. Andy's server is slow. That's the reason it's taking so long.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I created a new project. Oh, apparently that test already exists, but test 2 doesn't. Okay, and then once I had a new project, I created a new template, and they give you, or actually, before I do that, I come over to project description, and I choose a skin. They give you a few different skins. I'm using the iStyle. They've got a lot of different skins. They kind of give you a starting point of your design. So I chose iStyle, and then a palette. And we'll get into the palette a little later because I always create a custom palette as I'm doing this as well. And I'll show you that shortly as well. So once I have a skin, then I come over and I do a new page template. And they give you a lot of these different layouts. Now what these layouts are doing is kind of setting up the zones for you. You've heard about, for the last couple of releases, the zone editing, and instead of having to do everything with table positioning. That's what these are, is they've done some pretty standard layouts of different style of zoning. And the one that we used was the inset to the left right here. So that's what that page, I got this. Then I started modifying this template to look the way I wanted. And the first thing that you do is, if you go into zoning, you see the zones. We have a header zone up here. We have that left zone over here. We have a body zone, and then we have a footer zone. And if we run this page, that was just downright rude of it, but I'm not sure why that blew up. Let's need to save it. There we go. That's what it looks like. You notice that it's centered in, it didn't stretch anything out. So from there, we have to start modifying it to work the way we want our page to work. So if we go into zoning, and the first thing we do is we say we want this zone actually we want to get into the page itself, and we want the page to expand. Okay, so now when we run it, we see our page blew up, but it's still got these round edges. Now these round edges were pretty tough to figure out because they've moved those. That's actually, before 18, those round edges, that would have been a cell. But now they've actually got that in the style. If we come into the style and we modify it, okay, we can't modify it, but we can duplicate it, and then we can modify the duplication. And we come down here to page border background, shape, and we'll see they've got that rounded edges shape. So if we turn that off, and run our page, well, I didn't get it. I had this trouble. We have made the change, but for some reason, WebDev doesn't realize that we've made that change.
You made the change
to that
copy,
style,
though, right?
for the skin. No, I made it to this. Yeah, but that copy, see, I had to recompile the project. That copy, when we made that copy and then we selected it back.
Oh, you selected it. Okay, thanks. Yeah.
If we come in here, yeah. When we get, see, we are now. We're on that copy, but you just have to recompile to get. For some reason, any change to your style, you have to recompile. I think it's because it's got to generate out the HTML. But clicked on the wrong button. So now you see we're starting to get that look I was going for. I got rid of the rounded edges. I didn't want it to look like my page had a container. So I flattened that out. Then I started modifying some other pieces of this. I adjusted the insets. And this is where the zoning has really improved with 18. With 17, you had to use the little pencil and draw your zones, and they were just really kind of iffy. But they've improved that considerably now. So that's the general idea of what I did. Now, the other thing that you do is you come in, and this is the palette that I was telling you about. Actually, we go into the project description, to the skins and styles, and you see down here where the palettes are listed. I always create a new palette for every project. As you see, I've got one for ChatterBox. Even if I'm not going to do anything different than one of the other palettes, I always create a new one, because what that allows me to do is, if I create a different palette for this project, then down the road, if I decide to change the color scheme or whatever, I can go in and modify that palette, and that change will be reflected throughout the entire site. So I made a copy of the palette and called it ChatterBox. And let me get in there. You can see if we modify this palette, what it does is allow you to define, and this interface is still in French. It was in French in 17 and still in French. That's general, negative, title, subtitle, link. I'm getting pretty good at my French. What you get is these different text, background, and border, and then you get 3 different colors. And you basically define them as whatever you want. And these things don't necessarily mean anything other than when you're setting up your controls. And now I'm going to switch back over to our real project so we can start looking at how I implemented any of this. What the heck? Okay. I'm not sure what it just did there. It opened up the Windows project. It's interesting. It didn't open up the project I was trying to. It opened up the Windows project in WebDev. Not exactly the effect I was going for. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let me get over to the template. So this title for the web page, if I go into the style, you'll see that I created a style called company name. If we modify that style, we got to check out the style sheet before we can modify styles. So that's what it's doing now.
Style sheet is a WebDev style sheet versus a CSS.
Yes, yeah. It's the WebDev style sheet. It all gets translated to CSS, but everything we're doing through the interface is WebDev's look at the style sheet at CSS, not raw CSS code.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. It's really slow today for some reason.
You got to turn join me off.
Oh, I don't know why that's running. Good catch, Arnold. So now let's and you noticed it's not smart enough, and this was a problem in 17. When it checked out that style sheet, it forgot that I was trying to modify the style sheet, so I have to go all the way back in again. So now we're modifying that style sheet for company name. And how I created that was when I first added that static, it was static simple, and I duplicated it, and then I selected my duplication and modified it, gave it a name that made sense for me, and then this is what I was talking about on palettes. When you choose a color, don't choose colors down here. Choose colors off of your palette that makes sense to you. That way.
So that's almost like a CSS class or something, huh?
Yeah. It's kind of your color wheel for your site type thing. So in other words, if you do all of your titles using title 1, and then your big titles, title 2, then you're able to later on come edit your palette. And like, see here, if we say, we don't really like that shade of red, we want to make it purple. Well, any style that's going to require a recompile to see that. Okay, it's going to refresh it.
So that changes the templates also, right? Because that's in the template. Oh yeah, you're modifying the template.
The template's referring to the style sheet, and then the style sheet's referring to the palette.
But why didn't it change colors?
Yeah, that may be one of the ones where you have to get back out and back in to see the effect. Either that, or I managed to not get it saved there when I was jumping around. Let's try this again. Okay, description right here. Yeah, we didn't get the palette changed for some reason. Oh, we got it changed here. ChatterBox palette. And there
you go.
It's showing the change. But see, it's not showing the change there. I think we're going to have to close the project and reload it to see that. It's very odd.
But it changed.
Okay, yeah, now it's changed. Now we're seeing the change. We had to kind of get back out and back in a couple of times before it saw, but now we've changed that palette. Anywhere that I referred to text note 3 has now changed to that color throughout the entire site. So that's a way to, if you think about your palette and based on your controls and what you're doing, use your palette in a way that kind of makes sense. If you later on have to change your color scheme, let's take a good example. PC Reminder, I did a orange and navy color scheme on that. Well, since we've done that, we've had 2 or 3 companies that wanted a customized version of PC Reminder that they run internal or whatever. Well, same kind of theory, because everything is assigned to groupings, more or less, that your color palette is your grouping. You're able to go through that palette and say, okay, this color of the palette is used for menu items. This palette item is used for this, and you can change just those colors in your palette, and the entire color scheme of your entire website changes without you going to every page and modifying it. So that's what I was talking about. Go ahead, Arnold.
And you can do that at runtime too.
I have not messed with trying to change palettes at runtime. There are some things that you can. I haven't tried that at runtime, Arnold. I've messed with a little bit, but I don't know if you can change the palette at runtime. I haven't done those type of runtime changes.
I'd be kind of curious about that, because like if you have different clients and they want different look, and it could be part of a configuration rather than a recompile.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure there's something you can do there. Like I said, I haven't messed with doing that. Well, that just does not want to change when you first change it. Oh, well, that was my fault, though. All right. Okay, I'm going to have to do some cleanup there. Anyway, so that's how you start thinking about your palette and where you're going to use your palette, and we'll see that throughout, like on text controls. And let me get over to right here. Now, these menu items that I've got here, that's actually 3 controls. I've got a static with a rounded top and a square bottom. I've got another cell that's a rounded bottom and a square top. Then I've got a container to hold it all together that doesn't have any formatting on it. And if we look at the style sheet for that static, you'll see that I actually created a style called menu heading light blue. And if we go in and look, you'll see I've got several different ones. I've got light blue, light orange, green, and that allows me to use these everywhere without, you get this temptation when you're working on the website to just make changes here. But when you're making changes here, it only affects that control. You don't get any standardization. So, once you get 10, 15, 20 pages of your site, if you've modified every control on this screen, good luck ever modifying the look and feel of your site, because you're going to have to go back and touch every control. But if you create styles and group them into different styles, then you can modify them throughout. So if I decide, those purples throughout the entire site, they're a shade too heavy, I can modify this purple style and adjust its color, and all the purples will adjust. So, and this style is also using, for its text, see, that's not defined as white, that's defined as -1. So again, it's referring back to the palette. So your palette refers, your style sheets refer to your palette, it's a hierarchical type thing so that you have several different layers of abstraction to the look and feel of your site. And then anchoring plays into everything as well. You have two different edit modes. You have your zoning edit mode, which sets up your main zones, and then your page edit mode where you actually drop your controls on. If we come into that zoning, you actually set up an anchor for that zone. So you see this zone is set to adopt width and height. So the main body of the page, no matter how big the browser is or how small it is, it's going to stretch and shrink to meet the size of whatever browser they have. Now, if we come up here and look at the header, it's set to only adapt in width. I don't want the header to get taller, no matter how big their site is. I only want it to get wider based on how big their browser is. And then this zone is set to adjust in height. I don't want it to get wider. I just want it to get taller. So that's the anchoring of the zones. And then when I drop the controls on, same way, this control is set to stretch and height, so it'll fill up that box. And then like the header up here, its anchoring is set up to stay in the center. And these controls over here are anchored to move to the right. And that's how we get this page to be a responsive design. See, that's recentering itself. These are moving over to the far right. That's getting taller. And you see it only shrink down to the size of its content. Once it's to the size of its content, then we start getting a scroll bar.
Can you limit the minimum height of that browse window so it always shows it?
Yeah, you can set it's on the GUI tab right here, minimum size.
But that's for
you can
that
set it
one
to
control.
no minimum size or size and edit. No,
is
no,
that
this
for
is,
the
I'm on the
page?
zoning
Just the,
of the body.
okay.
That's the zoning of the body. So
Okay.
you don't do anything with the entire page. You do it with the zones.
Zoning.
You know,
Okay.
the page is broke into zones. So yeah, I've got it set to no minimum size, but you could set it to be size and edit, which means that it would never shrink smaller than what it is right here.
Okay. That would make it look gooder. Much better.
Then the other thing that we have here is that floating toolbar. And again, you notice it's just that because I'm trying to get a look and a feel to the site. So all the sections are tombstone shaped. They've got a rounded top, rounded bottom, with and then we do the multicolor to kind of make it bright and cheerful and happy. So the floating toolbar, the difference with it is when we start looking at the container control, which we actually have to click twice to get to container control. Notice it is set to be movable with the mouse and store the position. That means that, and actually it's not set, it should be set to And that's the control that allows it to move. Apparently it got turned off. So what that does when we run this page, that's what I was afraid of, that toolbar. It's off the screen. Gotta move it over here so we can see it. There we go. Now, see, anytime I'm in the static, the header, because I told it that it was movable by that, notice my mouse cursor changes so that that can move. And it will remember where I put it. So, if I put it up there, oh, I clicked the wrong button. See how it jumped back up there? It stored that position in a cookie and knows that when I open this page, I want that bar to be up there. These are all standard WebDev features. And then I've worked out hiding this thing. And we can look at that code real quick.
Hey, thanks for telling us that the cursor changed, because on our side we don't see the cursor. We just see
you don't see the
Adobe Connect cursor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we see the Adobe Connect cursor.
Okay. Yeah,
So
it changes to the cursor that signifies that something's movable.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure somewhere you can define what the cursors are for that stuff. I've never bothered to do that. When I hide and unhide that, basically what I'm doing is I'm just hiding the two cells, the static that is the header and the body, which these buttons are contained in the body. So when I hide the body, they get hidden too. And that actually works. The only code I really need is these 2 lines of code. But there's a downside to that. If I don't have all this code in place, what happens is if I come over here and hide this, oh, I must have missed one of them. Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Get a JavaScript compile errors. All right. So you see that that's hidden now, but notice I can't click there, and you see why. You see that blue box, Arnold?
Yep, I do.
Yep. That's because even though that cell is hidden, HTML still has to account for that, in the CSS code. So that cell is still there, and it's overlaying that piece of my menu. So even though I can't see that cell, I can't get a mouse click back there on the menu because that mouse click is being registered by that hidden cell. That's something.
So you got to push it back? Do you have to push it back then?
That's what all this code here is doing, is I'm actually resizing all of those cells to be just the size of that little icon. So I'm resizing this and resizing this so that they only take up that much space. And then when you unhide them, I have to push them back out. So that's what all this code is doing. So you can't just
exposit somewhere else, huh? I guess you got to have it somewhere where they can get to unhiding it, right?
Like, yeah, right. I'm leaving the eyeball, wherever they left it.
So actually, with the eyeball, can you drag the eyeball around?
Yeah, you can drag the eyeball around. Well, I don't have it marked as draggable right now.
Oh, got it. So it's not like, it'd be kind of cool if it was docking, so you could but you know,
Yeah,
it's not a concept for
yeah,
us.
yeah. The web doesn't have a docking concept.
Yeah.
Let's see. There we go. That one should be draggable as well. So now, yeah, I can drag an eyeball around. Now there is one side effect to this that I haven't worked out yet, is when you drag by the eyeball, when you release your mouse button, it's
Brings
registering
it
a
back.
click
Ah.
because you're also clicking on it, so it's registering a click. So
Oh, so you got to base it on a drag, don't?
right.
Okay.
What I need to do is put a little code in there that says, hey, is your position the same position it was in when you started? If it's not, then you weren't doing a click, you were doing just a drag.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
Cool.
yeah, I just leave the little eyeball as an anchor. So, you know, okay, there's where I hit my toolbar.
That's actually kind of cute, you know. It should be a blinking one.
Yeah. I tried to do that as just an icon up there and have the toolbar wherever you wanted. I ran into some anchoring problems doing that. I couldn't get the eyeball to move where I wanted. And I finally decided, well, it actually makes more sense to let you, you know, have an anchor for wherever the toolbar is.
So Pete, I guess if you hide it, you can always say move that little eyeball to the top right corner above the search, so they always know that it's there rather than being hidden somewhere. Yeah.
Right, but yeah, what I do is I don't hide the eyeball. So you know, I think that
No, what I mean, put the eyeball. What I mean is put the eyeball up in the top right corner. Every time you hide, it just always knows to repark. It's all kind of doing your own docking. I think that's what I would do.
I think that would, you know, I would expect that eyeball to be where I left it. You know, is.
But I may not know. The thing could be hiding, like
if I hide it and it jumps up there, how do I know it jumped up there? You know what I'm saying?
No, but I would always know it's there. That's all I'm saying. If it's gone, at least I know I can. It's kind of like the undocking and docking. You know, it docks and undocks in the same.
Well, like I said, yeah, I started to do the eyeball. You know, basically what you're talking about. I ran into some anchoring problems. I couldn't get it to. It wanted to stay over here instead of moving over here. But then the problem that I think that has is if that eyeball's over here, it's not obvious that that's to hide this toolbar. So I don't know. Yeah, we need to play with the interface, you know, a little more. This is a couple of days of, you know, just working out the general idea of the
That's
interface.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool, though. I like it.
Yeah, so that's our look and feel. You know, we're, like I said, me and Andy are kind of working out what this news group interface is. I think the one agreement that we came to today was that all news group interfaces suck. I just don't know what we're going to do about it. So we're trying a couple of different things, but you know, guys have been trying to crack that egg for 20 years, so it may be a little ambitious for us to make news groups not suck by DevCon. But we're going to do what we can. Let's open up the floor to John, since he's the only one that was nice enough to join us, and see if he's got any questions. Have you done much web work, John? I can't remember if you do Windows or web. John's still there. I see his icon, but don't hear him.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Fantastic. Hey, I was just saying that I've been looking forward to this presentation because I have done quite a bit of web work, and it's been a right pain once you get going if you commit the mistakes which you described, which I've committed all those sins. There is so much to be saved by setting up in advance rather than messing around afterwards. You start changing things after the event, all sorts of things break, and coding is actually easy, or for us it is, compared to design and layout and the fiddly little things which annoy the heck out of you, which you can spend hours, even days, dealing with small design issues. There have been some hidden gems in what you've provided, and I think that it'll be well worth anybody who's embarking down the web road to make sure that they look at that, look at what you've provided. One little thing which I picked up was the way in which you actually set the resizing at a page level first. I'd tried to get the effect which you've got and still hadn't until I saw your presentation.
Yeah,
The
zoning
page, correct, and the way in which you actually set it on the page first to say what the page does. Boy, I wish I'd done that because I'd mucked around and broken the whole of things. So no, it's been really, really good what I've learned so far. A couple of thoughts on your a few things. Firstly, one day I'd be interested to see how we can bring in somebody else's cascading style sheet. If we've got a client who's got a particular style and work with that, I must have a bit of a play with that. I've seen it's available, but I'd love to know how to do that. But it really is a very good foundation. Before you start doing any coding on web, watch your webinar. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's definitely you know, and we've talked about it. You know, it's important for from the analysis. You know, we've talked about this when we're talking about Windows development. It's important to do that work in your analysis of setting up your captions and your formatting, because it just saves you so much work down the road. On the web, what you find out, and I think this is what you were saying, John, is that I get all my coding done, but the 80-20 rule really kills you on the web. You spend 80% of your time on look and feel, 20% of your time on coding, because the web is just so visual. Everyone. Windows is kind of, this is the way Windows looks and everybody expects it, and it's all just locked down. The web is not so much that, and it's very visual, so you have to spend a lot more time on the visual aspects of it, and that's not only colors and style like we've been talking here, but also interface-wise, and that's the reason, like I said, you notice the code for this is all, I'm not going out and hitting any database, anything. I'm just mocking up some lines to create some entries in these tables and stuff, because I want to get the general look and feel. Do I want to use a tree view control? Well, why would I do all the work of plumbing that thing to a database and doing all that logic, and then say, well, that really doesn't work well for the web. So, I spend my time working out the interface of what's going to work for me on the web as well by just mocking up. And I always keep a couple of pages in my project where I can throw some controls on and play with them and see how they're going to look with my palette, my style sheets, and so forth as well.
Yes, no, wholeheartedly with that. That's definitely right. One thing which I thought was a really good tip was always create your own style sheets and palettes. Make your own copy, because I've ended up with a hybrid one of my applications, and it's a pain in the neck trying to deal with the fact that some controls are mine, some of the standard ones, and it really is a problem. Hey, one quick thing on the layout of ChatterBox. I know that you and Andy have got your ideas on how the main screen should look with the tree there. One thing that's really annoyed me about news groups, which maybe you could try on your one anyway, is the way that the topic is on the left-hand side, and all of the sort of the metadata about the date the post was put on or who posted it is out to the right. If you go back to one of your screens where it's full screen, you see how everything's stretched way out to the right. You want to see what a new topic is, and you're reading down the subjects. You see your dates are way out to the right there. I don't know if it's possible within your layout, but if the meta information can be on the left and the topic on the right, it'd kind of make it easier on the eye because you can see what's new very quickly. And I don't know. I always wish the My Stuff.
Oh, moving columns around. Yeah. The posted and who posted on the left, and then the subject maybe on the third.
Yeah, I don't think you can move the headers, Pete. Yeah, that's what I'm trying. I don't think you can do that. Right. Doesn't look like it. And as me and Andy have found out with our little bit of playing this morning, tree view tables, this is their first version of having a tree view for the web. And as anything, their first version is fairly limited. You can't do HTML text in this, which really disappointed us. And as you just saw there, I tried to adjust the header. And when I resized that header, that's not really what I expected to happen. And then when I sorted from there, things really went to pieces. So.
Yeah, what I was hoping was to have those columns out to the right on the left, then the subject on the right-hand side.
Yeah, we might be able to do that as a preference type thing. In your profile. Yeah, I'll have to see if I can move the columns chromatically at runtime. Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Hey.
Or you might just do that as a standard too, because that makes sense. I mean, you want to know when it came. And
the when I don't have any problem with. I don't know about. Well, I guess you could do who.
Yeah,
it really kind of depends on how you look at it. One of the problems that we saw with this anyway, and the reason why we had a most wondrous discussion this morning is because Pete's. If you look at stack flow, okay. It is really based upon, here is the question, here are the top 5 answers or top 10 answers to that question, and that's all you get, period. Deal with it. You look at other news groups on the web, and you've got replies to replies. Well, by the time you get down to the bottom, to find out what the latest message was, that reply may not have a thing to do with the original question. It's some reply to some reply in the middle. The tree structure lends itself to do replies to replies, but then again, you can get a lot of thread drift that way, which we've all seen with, Cajun recipes and things like that before. So, part of the deal is that we kind of come to maybe a little bit of a compromise that we're going to see whether or not that this would work, that based upon where you got highlighted is how many loopers you see underneath, which is all of the messages from there, and then be able to also still mark that you've read that message so it doesn't show up again, and hide the read messages and things like that you could do in a normal news group that you can't do on a web news group. Okay.
And Andy?
Yeah.
I have a suggestion. One of the things that drive me nuts is, like you said, all the thread drifting.
Yeah.
Is a lot, in some forms that I've seen, the original question is up on top, and somehow you can tag the right answer or the top 3 answers, and they shift to the top, right?
Well, we talked about that with the rating. Okay, and if everybody is good with the rating, then that can happen. Now, one of the things we've also agreed on is that if you went to level 2 there, re-subject, and you did a grandchild to that, you got to put in a new subject. You can't just do a re of the original subject. Okay, so basically the only one that's going to inherit the parent's subject line as a reply would be if you're on the same level as the main question, because you're expected that is what you're talking about. You're answering that top question. If you go to a grandchild or a great-grandchild, then you're talking about something else or talking about that guy's particular answer, or his statement or whatever he stated inside of his. So that changes the subject entirely. Okay. We lost Pete again?
Pete again. Yeah.
Test. Okay, well, I'm alive. We'll see what happened to him. But anyway, what it all boils down to is that there are definite advantages to seeing, say, the top 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 starred items as part of the question. That's the reason why we've got a little bit of both down there. And there's also advantages of the tree structure to give us decent methodology to look at, finding things going across, like you want to. And the thing about it is, if it works out nicely here, I'll move the looper to the desktop version. We'll have the same thing on both, which will work out great. Now, unfortunately, the mobile doesn't have any kind of tree. It doesn't have any kind of tree, but Tim says his internet died. Of course, how would you type me that your internet died if you didn't? Never mind. Anyway, the only one that would not be able to be like that and would be more like the standard news group ones would be on the mobile device. It'd be the one that's going to be more of a standard. So we'll have to see how that goes.
There's some real challenges, that's for sure.
But I think that this is, this right here being the children based upon which one you have highlighted, so you can see all the messages there. I think that's going to work out. Obviously, you need the controls that read, that you've read these, or you want to ignore them, a couple check boxes and stuff in the looper to handle those. He's gone again.
Andy?
Yeah.
So are you saying that even though something is a grandchild or great-great-great-grandchild, they don't have a column that says it's part of this thread?
Well, in the tree structure, you'll still know it's part of that thread, okay, because you'll see it's still part of the tree structure. The difference is, and you and I have both seen it, where you get some thread drift where somebody makes a statement about a certain problem, and then the guy says, well, I've done this, this, and this, and all of a sudden you're off on the cooking show, okay? Well,
but
at that
all I'm
point,
saying is if you had the thread number in every one of the descendants, that you could always say, okay, this is the descendant and this is the answer for this thread, then they move up to the top, kind of like favorites, but this is, in fact, in some of them it says the answer, and then they close it.
Well, there again you go down to...
Right. Well, and Andy and I talked about that, and that's Stack Overflow. But the problem is if you go to Stack Overflow, and we're all for going to a Stack Overflow type interface, but what that does is it completely eliminates the ability for conversations. Literally, all you can do is post a question and get the answer to those questions. There is no conversational piece to it at all. The two kind of go hand in hand. Obviously, if you don't have a threaded conversation, you can't carry on a conversation.
One interface you might like to look at is perhaps Reddit, where they deal.
We're not sure that the group is ready to go to a pure Stack Overflow style interface.
I was going to say one interface you might like to consider is the way that Reddit.
So we're trying to kind of right in the middle of that.
Right, Reddit goes and hides things that are less interesting, but you can expand them open if you want to. So it relies on a popularity, which I think they get from clicks, but they automatically ripple interesting conversations perhaps to the top. But secondly, they will hide conversations which seem to be deadbeat or nothing of interest, but you can optionally expand those threads. Perhaps difficult to put into a news group, but certainly something that's very chatty. It helps get rid of the periphery stuff.
You can send us a link to what you're looking at. That'd be great. We can take a peek at it. We want to try to get the best of what we can build. Obviously, it would be nice.
Yep. I'll get something for you after the conversation. Just Skype it straight through.
That'd be great. Because we obviously want the desktop and the web to be as close to each other as we can get them, okay? And the reason behind that is not because of a coding or a look and feel, but the fact is to show that you can basically use the same thing through both of those items. And your code is not, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, just because you're on a different. Now, obviously, the web can have a much different look and feel as the desktop can, and you want to take advantage of whatever the platform's there. You don't want a simplistic platform because you're on two different things, desktop versus web or mobile. If you make it too simplistic, then obviously you cannot take advantage of anything that those environments give you. But there are certain things that obviously can go, work in both environments. And what we've been showing here certainly can.
Cool.
Hey, Pete, when you did the tried to make the adjustments in the columns and stuff like that, is that something you're going to lock down, or are you going to go back to PC Soft and say, hey, what the heck's going on? Because issuing something like that,
yeah, that's
terrible.
Yeah, it looks like there's definitely an issue there, and like I said, that's the first time I think any of us have put a tree view on a web. Andy, have you done one in Project Pro yet?
Yeah, I did. I just hadn't messed with that.
I haven't tried to resize the column. Yeah. It definitely reacted like it's a bug.
Yeah,
so, we need to play with it a little bit and report it.
Now, it's my understanding that they're supposed to have a fix out fairly soon on some stuff. And it's going to correct a few things. I don't know if it's going to correct that or not, though. So, but I know that I'd been informed that there was going to be a patch out pretty soon.
Yeah, especially for that thing that you reported, and they said, yeah, it's on the next change.
Yep.
That droplets with the
Yep.
all.
Yep.
So, if anything else?
Nope, that's it. I'm going to be out again this week, and again traveling on Friday, but I'm going to try to have something around. Maybe what I'll do is I'll end up doing a Friday, jumping on a Friday morning a little bit and then start coming home, because I don't need to be leaving at dark 30 heading to the house. I can actually do the session and then come on to the house. So I'll let everybody know. Because I'm trying to get the chat portion up and running in the ChatterBox, and once that's up and running, then Pete can look at it, and he'll be further along with this as far as getting the news groups and some of the messages and stuff showing by then as well. And we can start seeing whether or not our chats are going to start working like they're supposed to. If it does, rock and roll. We're getting motivated and going to kind of finish up a lot of things real quick and by mid-July, because I need to get started on the mobile by mid-July. So that's kind of where it's at.
Hey, Pete, it would be really interesting if you had a drop list on choices of styles, and that at runtime either a drop list, or you could just do a flag for a certain customer and he gets a different look or preference.
Hey, Pete,
I mean,
make an Arnold style where everything is the same color.
White.
Yeah.
Even the words.
Polar bear in the wintertime.
Yeah, polar bear in the wintertime.
Yeah, just see those two black eyeballs. That could be that. That could be that draggable toolbar.
There you go.
Around. Anyway, if that's all there is, then I guess we can have Mr. Andy say.
All right, be good or be good at it. Thanks for everybody for showing up this afternoon, and all those that didn't show up that just need to listen to the video. Anyway, we'll be back at it again Friday morning. Okay?
And Tim says, don't forget the early bird registration ends June 30th.
All right.
Talk to you all later.
Thanks,
Thanks, Pete. Good job.